When we think of Vikings, we imagine ferocious warriors with horned helmets, ruthlessly attacking and pillaging across Europe. And while this is true, it only tells part of the story. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to uncover the other harsh truth about Vikings, shedding light on their daily lives. You will be surprised at what these legendary conquerors did when they weren't busy raiding. Now, let's set sail on this journey through time and explore the world of Vikings like never before. As we delve into this world, remember to hit that like button if you're enjoying the ride. Your support means everything to us and inspires us to keep bringing you amazing content. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Raiding Vikings were undoubtedly skilled warriors, but it's important to remember that their combat abilities were honed not just for the thrill of battle, but as a common strategy for wealth and social status. In their culture, military prowess was highly valued, and success in battle brought both riches and glory to individuals and their families. This led to a society where physical strength, courage, and combat skills were not just admired, but actively cultivated among the Norsemen. The harsh reality of Viking life meant that men were often called upon to defend their land and their way of life against rival clans or external threats. Women also played a significant role in Viking society. They managed the household, participated in agricultural work, and even accompanied their husbands on raids and battles. Women could own property, including livestock, and were able to initiate divorce proceedings. However, it's important to note that while women enjoyed more rights than their counterparts in many other contemporary societies, they still lived within the constraints of a patriarchal system. Viking women were expected to be subservient to men, whether it was their father, brother, or husband, and their choices were ultimately subject to male authority. The harsh realities of Viking life also meant that women were often exposed to violence, and their sexuality was frequently used as a tool of war and conquest. As we continue our journey into the world of Vikings, we must acknowledge that while their reputation as fierce fighters is well established, their everyday lives were far from the battles and conquests that history remembers them for. Let's now turn our attention to the daily life of the Norsemen. Life as a Norseman was not all about pillaging and plundering. It was largely centered around farming, craftsmanship, and trade. The harsh climate of Scandinavia meant that the Norsemen had to rely on agriculture to sustain themselves. Farming was a central activity in their daily lives. They grew crops such as barley, oats, and wheat, and they also kept livestock, including cattle, sheep, and pigs. The Norsemen were also skilled craftsmen, producing goods such as textiles, leather products, and wooden items that they used for everyday life or traded with other communities. Trade was an essential aspect of Norse life. They established trading networks that extended beyond Scandinavia, exchanging goods with merchants from distant lands. This exposure to other cultures enriched their lives and brought new ideas and products to their communities. Despite the necessity of engaging in these daily activities, the Norsemen were still known for their adventurous spirit and their desire for exploration. Many of them felt confined by the limitations of their daily routines and yearned for the excitement and opportunities that lay beyond their immediate surroundings. This desire for exploration and adventure was a driving force behind their later voyages of discovery and conquest. While the Norsemen were known for their bravery and adventurous spirit, it's important to remember that their daily lives were not without its hardships. Life in Scandinavia was tough, and the harsh weather and demanding work took a toll on their bodies and minds. Many Norsemen yearned for something more, a chance to break free from the monotony of their daily routines and explore the unknown. It was this longing for something greater that led them to embrace their reputation as fierce warriors and adventurers. One of the most prominent aspects of Viking culture was its brutality. Warfare was a significant part of their society, and battles were often characterized by intense violence and bloodshed. The Norsemen believed in a culture of honor and revenge, which led to cycles of violence between clans and communities. During battles, they employed brutal tactics and weapons, causing immense suffering to their enemies. This violent nature was not just confined to the battlefield. It was often reflected in everyday interactions and social customs. The Norsemen were known for their love of drinking, and their feasts and celebrations could quickly turn violent. There was a strong emphasis on strength and dominance, and violence was sometimes used as a means to establish power and control. Beyond warfare and social customs, brutality was also deeply ingrained in Norse mythology and beliefs. Their gods were often depicted as being violent and vengeful, and the concept of honor and glory in battle was a central theme in their religious beliefs. For the Norsemen, death in battle was seen as a glorious and heroic end, and the afterlife was often portrayed as a continuation of the warrior's existence. This belief system contributed to the Vikings' willingness to engage in extreme acts of violence and their fascination with death and the supernatural. Furthermore, the brutality of Viking culture extended to their treatment of prisoners of war and their disregard for human life. They were known for their ruthlessness and showed little mercy to those they conquered. Prisoners were often subjected to torture, and the Vikings' disregard for human life led them to commit atrocities that shocked even their contemporaries. However, it's important to acknowledge that while the brutality of Viking culture is a significant aspect of their history, it should not overshadow other important facets of their society. They were also known for their skill in craftsmanship, their love of exploration, and their complex social and political structures. Understanding Viking culture requires a nuanced approach that takes into account both their violent tendencies and their other achievements and complexities. As we conclude our journey into the world of Vikings, it's important to remember that despite their reputation for brutality and violence, they were also a multifaceted people with a rich culture and a complex society. Their daily lives were not just filled with warfare and conquest, but also with farming, craftsmanship, and trade. Their love of exploration and adventure led them to push the boundaries of the known world, and their skills in craftsmanship and their complex social and political structures are also worthy of admiration. Viking exploration is a testament to their curiosity and desire for new experiences, while their brutality serves as a reminder of the harsh realities of their time. In studying the Vikings, it's crucial to avoid portraying them as one-dimensional figures defined solely by their violent actions. Instead, we should strive for a more comprehensive understanding of their lives, recognizing both their accomplishments and their flaws. When we think of Viking exploration, the name Leif Erikson rightfully stands out as a key figure. He was the first European to set foot on continental United States, establishing a settlement in Newfoundland, Canada, around 500 years before Christopher Columbus arrived. However, it's important to recognize that Leif Erikson was not alone in his voyages of discovery. He was part of a larger tradition of Viking exploration that had been taking place for several decades. In the late 8th century, the Viking Ivar Ragnarsson led a group of explorers on a voyage that took them to the British Isles. These prosecutions were not merely acts of exploration, but also served practical purposes. The Vikings were motivated by a desire for resources, trade, and the expansion of their knowledge about the world. They were also driven by a sense of adventure and a thirst for new experiences. The harsh climate and limited resources in Scandinavia may have also played a role in driving the Vikings to explore new lands. As the Vikings made their way across the seas, they encountered other cultures and established contact with people who had different ways of life and beliefs. This exposure to other cultures enriched their own traditions and introduced them to new ideas and technologies. However, it's also important to acknowledge that Viking exploration was not without its negative consequences. As they expanded their reach, they also engaged in acts of violence and conquest, exploiting resources and subjugating local populations. Despite the complexities of Viking exploration, it remains an important part of their legacy. Their voyages of discovery and their willingness to venture into the unknown are a testament to their curiosity and their desire for new experiences. Another lesser-known aspect of Viking life is their strong connection to their heritage and identity. They had a deep sense of pride in their ancestry and their cultural traditions. The Norsemen were known for their storytelling abilities, and their oral tradition played a vital role in preserving their history, values, and beliefs. Stories of their ancestors and their own deeds were shared around the fires, keeping their heritage alive. They also had a strong sense of community and loyalty to their clan or tribe. Members of the same lineage were united by a common bond, and they supported each other in times of need. This sense of community extended beyond the immediate family, encompassing a wider network of relatives and neighbors who came together to celebrate important events and provide mutual aid. In addition to their connection to their heritage and community, the Norsemen also had a deep respect for nature and the natural world. They lived in harmony with their environment, recognizing the importance of balance and sustainability. Their beliefs and mythology were intertwined with the rhythms of the seasons and the forces of the natural world, and they revered animals and plants for their role in their survival. It's important to acknowledge that while the Vikings had a strong connection to their heritage and the natural world, they were also capable of great cruelty and exploitation. Their love for exploration and adventure often led them to plunder and conquer distant lands, and their disregard for human life and their pursuit of wealth and power resulted in the suffering of countless people. In conclusion, the Norsemen were a complex and contradictory people whose legacy continues to fascinate us today. While they are remembered as fierce warriors and explorers, they were also bound by the ties of their heritage, community, and the natural world. Understanding their values and beliefs, as well as their capacity for both greatness and cruelty, allows us to appreciate the full complexity of their history and legacy. What did you find most surprising about Viking life? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on our latest adventures. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.